What's going on YouTube? Cloverbells here, back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today is that day where we release a bunch of rental codes for you to try on the VGC ladder, because now Series 2 is officially live and ready, which means we can finally use the Paradox Pokemon legally. And we've been doing a lot of team building videos within the channel throughout the course of January. We've done a lot of meta-analysis stuff, but now it's time to showcase these teams on the rank ladder. But what we want to do first is at least give you the rental codes for at least a start, because often players always ask me, I don't have a good team, I don't know where to start, I don't know how to build. So what these teams are meant to do is just give you a good solid foundation, something to start with, something that's solid and consistent, and then from there you might even just build your own team, right? Or build one with me. All right, a lot of these teams we built them for others during coaching sessions. So if you're interested in coaching and building a team for me where I can, or building a team with me where I can show you how to do EVs from scratch and how to play certain matchups and whatnot, check out coaching on the channel in the video description. There is a link to join with the tier 3 sub to the channel, or you can check the comment section, or every single video on this channel has a join button. So if you're able to click those links or click that button, you're able to book a session with me. Just message me on Discord, and once you've done so, and then we'll go ahead and start scheduling a time together. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and go straight into the rentals. All right, so this is the first rental that we're putting out here, and this is the Ironhands Armarouge team that we did for the first team building video of Series 2. This team actually won a tournament. I gave this to someone. They used it in a small Twitch tournament. Go figure, and they actually won it. And link to the VOD will be in the video description. But just about 16 players, so very, very small. Nothing too huge, but at least the team works, right? If you're able to win a small tour. But anyway, the way it functions is you're able to set up Trick Room with the Armarouge. Redirect support from the Amoonguss. You might even consider Indeeding that style, but I just like the Amoonguss a little bit more. It helped with the Dondozo stuff a little bit just because of Clear Smog, able to remove those Dondozo buffs. But again, once you set up Trick Room, the Armarouge with the Life Orb is able to put on a decent amount of pressure. It's really good against an opposing Iron Hands, because you have psychic damage. And then from there, if you're able to set up Trick Room, the Amoonguss, King Gambit, or the Iron Hands is able to come in and deal a bunch of damage, thanks to the speed control. Right, and the fluttermane on this team is also meant to be a support Pokemon as well, because it also has Trick Room. You're able to put pressure against like other dark types, or other roaring moons, or other Iron Hands, because you're a fairy type. So there's the damage there. And then you have Shadow Ball. You can pressure the Gholdengos, and then you have the Terra Ground on the Iron Hands for two reasons. One, you win the mirror, right, because you're a ground type versus another electric type, and two, you have respect for other steel types, other Arcanines out there, and more importantly, the Terra Poison Garganacl that is still running around, although some of them are changing to Ghost and Grass, but you still have to respect the ones that are still like running around with Terra Poison, right? Then from there, you have the Roaring Moon just for like the faster physical option on the team. You're able to click Tailwind, so this way your Fluttermane, Roaring Moon, and Armarouge is able to benefit from the Tailwind support. It's a jolly Roaring Moon, so not as much damage as the Adamant set, but still able to outspeed other Roaring Moons if they don't go jolly. So that's always good. Then from there, you consider like stuff like maybe you want to burn something on the Iron Hands or the Roaring Moon, but then you just swap in the Armarouge and then you just get a boost, right? Which is the goal that I wanted with putting Armarouge on this core. And then if the Iron Bundle wants to come in and click Icy Wind stuff to get speed control on the Fluttermane, you can just swap in your King Gambit and then they just proc in your Defiant, right? And Arcanine can't really just willy-nilly intimidate the Iron Hands and the Roaring Moon, because again, if you just have the King Gambit in the back or as support, you could always switch that in or lead it, and the Arcanine is in a bit of trouble, right? So that's the team. So now what I'm going to do is show you some of the spreads, so this way you get a feel of how we built the team in terms of EVs. All right, so here are the EV spreads for our squad, and again, with the Iron Hands, you'll see a similar spread throughout the rest of our teams, just in terms of like using more or less the same Iron Hands. But ideally, again, with the Assault Vest and this amount of HP investment, you're able to tank a Choice Specs Fluttermane Moonblast, as well as a Headlong Rush from a Great Tusk. Okay, so that's the idea there. And then you're just hitting the third EV benchmark in the attack stat. And then that HP investment also optimizes the Wild Charge recoil a little bit, right? You undercut the 64 threshold, which makes you only take about 63 damage instead of 64. So that's the idea there with this Iron Hand spread. The Armarouge, again, just meant to optimize Life Orb. With that HP investment, you're ending in a 9. The 68 investment also lets you outspeed Iron Bundle with Tailwind. Then you just hit the Modest Nature second EV bump with 116 investment, and then the rest was just left over. We put it into special defense. All right, the Fluttermane, of course, is just a 252 sash spread. The Roaring Moon, again, you have just as much attack, as much as you can before you surpass the threshold for speed, and then you would get an attack boost. But in this case, because our attack stat reaches just 187, whereas our speed at 252 Jolly is 188, you optimize your attack just so that you don't surpass the threshold in speed. So you're still getting the speed boost here. All right, the King Gambit, the 220 investment, just a little bit above the 30 V benchmark, just meant to KO Fluttermanes, with Sucker Punch stuff. So that was the main idea there. Other than that, it's just a pretty standard King Gambit spread where you're just maxing out its HP, getting as much investment in attack as possible, and then a little bit of leftovers in special defense. The one thing I was very mindful of was the speed for Iron Hands and King Gambit. Because they're both base 50, I always want to make sure one of them is faster than the other, so this way I always know who's going first. So I made the Iron Hands just a little bit faster than the King Gambit. And you might be asking why I'm putting speed investment in the Iron Hands and King Gambit in the first place. One, I want the faster fake out on my Iron Hands, and two, if I'm going against another King Gambit, I want to be able to go first. So I felt like that was always important, right? Where you're speed creeping other Pokemon players, that are using the same Pokemon, right? The Amoonguss, again, with this spread, you'll see a very similar spread in all of our teams with this investment. Again, you're just hitting 219 in HP, which means you're outside of range of Final Gambit, and you optimize your HP recovery thanks to Regenerator. You're only getting 73 flat, which is good, not like 73 decimal or 72 point something, just a flat 73, which is what we want. And then with this amount of defense investment, you're able to tank a Terra Flying acrobatics from an opposing Jolly 252 Roaring Moon. So I felt like that was also important as well. And then, just a standard set here with Pollen Puff and Clear Smog. So ideally, pretty cool team. Again, it functions well. Somebody already used it to win a tour. So, if you want to try an Iron Hands team with something that's a little bit different than some of the other Iron Hand teams, definitely give this one a go. All right, but now on to the next rental. All right, the second rental is a pretty standard rain team, with Gholdengo slapped on it. So I call it Gholdengo Rain. But pretty much you have the rain core of Pelipper, Palafin, and Amoonguss. So the idea with rain this generation, not really this generation, but this series, Pelipper, Palafin, and Amoonguss, they struggle against the Iron Bundle. All right, and you need something to help you against the Iron Bundle. All right, and then if you throw in Roaring Moon, technically it also can struggle because, the ice type damage from Freeze Dry is super effective against you. You're a dragon type. So Iron Hands is always necessary on a team like this, just so that you can counter that, or at least have something against it. And then Gholdengo is also really nice into those Iron Hand matchups as well. It benefits from the rain because, you're able to mitigate some of the fire damage that normally it would be super effective against. So that's the idea there. But it's a pretty standard rain team in terms of what it's supposed to do. You have Pelipper Tailwind stuff. Palafin, going for flip turns, coming back in, becoming hero as one. Hero as one, 0 to hero. And then you have Jet Punch and Wave Crash now with a little bit more damage thanks to Mystic Water and in the ring. So that's always nice. Haze for the Dondozo matchup, which means we can afford to not have Clear Smog on the Amoonguss and just opt for Protect, but still keep Pollen Puff, right? So the Amoonguss also comes here. Same idea in terms of Gholdengo, able to not take as much fire damage, but you're also able to just spam Pollen Puffs and just heal the rest of the team. Redirection support is always nice, and then just clicking Spore in certain Trick Room games. The other benefit is to help set up your Gholdengo. So if you click Rage Powder, the Gholdengo can go for a Nasty Plot and set up big Make It Rain damage. And unless they have a spread move, they have to reach the Amoonguss first before they get to your Gholdengo. The Iron Hands is a Terra Grass option this time, so this way in Trick Room games you can't sleep it. It's also really good against super effective ground moves. So now you have reduced damage against the Iron Hands for that reason. So that was the benefit there. And then Volt Switch, as opposed to the Terra Ground Stomping Tantrum that we had on the other team. So you're able to just also pivot in and recycle your fake outs. Maybe even get in your Palafin that just went for a flip turn. And then just come back from 0 to hero already instantly, right? If the chance permits, I should say. All right. The Roaring Moon is, I believe, an acrobatic set this time. No, I'm not acrobatics. An adamant set is what I meant to say. So it's a bulky slower, higher damage dealing Roaring Moon, just because you don't have to run Tailwind on this set because the Tailwind's on the Pelipper. Although I have seen second Tailwind users on rain teams like this, so in case of like Salamence or an Iron Jugulis, for example, they both have like Tailwind stuff. Just so that you don't have to rely on like the Pelipper to try and set up Tailwind, right? But again, the idea is the same. You're just able to put pressure against like Indie the Armarouge stuff. And then just be that strong physical option that's faster than the Iron Hands on this team. All right, but again, pretty standard, consistent rain team. So again, now what we're going to do is just show you the spreads and see what they do. All right, so now with here again with the Iron Hands, I know I'm covering my Iron Hand spread, but more or less it's the same as the others. Okay, I guess that helps. It's the same Iron Hand spread as the other team. So again, meant to survive. The Choice Specs, Moonblast from Fluttermane, and Headlong Rush from Great Tusk. So that's pretty much it there. The Amoonguss, again, same idea, same spread as the previous team. Just meant to take the Acrobatics Roaring Moon. That's a Jolly 252. And you can see our Roaring Moon, again, it has a little bit of speed, but not a whole lot of speed. I think it reaches 150 just to outspeed other timid Gholdengos. You hit the second EV benchmark in the attack stat, and then the 212 HP is just meant to be optimized, right, for a nice VGC number. Just in case of like, sand chip damage overall. But the idea here, again, with this 212 and 44 defense investment is you're able to survive one Drain Punch from an opposing Iron Hands that's Adamant 156, second bump, but not 236. And you might say, is that even common? And the answer is yes. Some of them do run that set just to have a little bit more bulk. So at the very least, you can respect that Iron Hands and, take that Drain Punch. All right, but other than that, the Gholdengo, this defense investment as well as special defense investment. So basically, under Tailwind, you're meant to outspeed Dragapult speed creepers. Normally, you would just need 107. I went to 109 just to speed creep them. You're hitting the first EV benchmark in the Modest Nature. And with the defense investment along with 212 HP, again, the 212 is just meant to optimize the Life Orb damage that you would take per turn every time you attack. But the 76 investment also lets you live the Adamant 252 Kowtow Cleave from a King Gambit, right? And then from there, you just had 132 EVs left, so I just dumped them into special defense just to round out the bulk. All right, that's pretty much it for the Gholdengo. The Palafin is, believe it or not, with this bulk, you can see 124 HP and 140 defense. You're able to take a wild charge from an Iron Hands, right? So I think that was important to consider. So I invested in a little bit more bulk, just hitting the first bump in the attack stat, because I'm in the rain and I have a Mystic Water, so I'm kind of doing enough damage as it is. And I have Wave Crash this time, so I can drop the attack stat a little bit more than I normally would, but that's the idea there. And then with the Pelipper, and the speed also lets you outspeed modest Gholdengos, right? And the Pelipper here, under Tailwind, you're just able to outspeed other Iron Bundles. So I felt like that was important. And you're just hitting the first bump in Modest Nature, so you can just do a little bit more damage, right? And then of course you're just full bulk from there. 252 HP, and the rest just went into special defense. All right, so that's our EV spread for our Gholdengo rain team. Let's move on to the next squad. Okay, so this is the Great Tusk team. Again, a pretty popular team to pilot. I would say a lot of people like this team when I did the team building video. The idea here is just having the support from Talonflame on the team, right? So with Tailwind from Talonflame, the Great Tusk, the Gholdengo, and the Roaring Moon, and the Iron Bundle have complete speed control. They're able to just go for, their moves without having to worry about, being outsped by their opponent, unless they also have Tailwind, but we have ways around that. But again, with Great Tusk and Talonflame, you're able to Earthquake next to your own Talonflame, right? So this way, because you're a flying type, so you can just spam it. And then, when Great Tusk is done, you can come in with Gholdengo, if Tailwind's still up, and just spam Make It Rain with the Life Orb support, which is really, really cool. I like it a lot. The coverage on Great Tusk is actually pretty good. You have your stab, or your signature move rather, with Headlong Rush. Ice Spinner is a great coverage move against other dragons, other flying types. And then Brick Break. Normally you would see close combat here, but I opted for Brick Break just because at the time that I was testing the squad, and probably still currently, I saw a lot of Grimmsnarl stuff, especially the one from 45 Mice and Ali VGC. So, I just felt like, if I had to go against Grimmsnarl, it would be a little bit problematic. So I just needed a way to break through those screens. So I just opted for Brick Break instead of close combat. But if you want to rebuild the team yourself and you want close combat, go for it. All right. The Iron Bundle, you know, along with Roaring Moon, just Icy Wind support for the Roaring Moon, and you're just able to deal big damage with your Roaring Moon. Again, this is the Adamant Roaring Moon, so you know we're doing a lot more damage than our Jolly set. So I felt like that was pretty good. And then the Amoonguss is back again, you know, just again with the Clear Smog support for Dondozo, just respecting it. And you know, if they do go Terra Steel, you know, you have ways around it. You can just use your Great Tusk. Or you know, just burn it with the Talon Flame, which is actually really cool. All right, so that's pretty much it for this Great Tusk team. So let's go ahead and show the EV spreads just so you see what we did. All right, and again here you can see the same set for our Roaring Moon, our Amoonguss, and Gholdengo. So I won't waste too much time explaining those spreads because we just did it twice. The Iron Bundle is just a straight 252 Sash. The Talon Flame again with Terra Ghost and Covert Cloak. Again, you're just trying to outsmart the Dragonite E-Speed shenanigans. That's why you go for the Ghost typing. And then the Covert Cloak is really good against, you know, fake out stuff, and also really good against, you know, the Garganical Assault Cure stuff. You know, just a very solid combination with Terra Ghost and the Covert Cloak, right? The Great Tusk again with this spread here, you know, just with 4 speed, you know, again under Tailwind, I outspeed everything anyway. I outspeed Dragon Ball, so there's really no need for me to invest so much speed there. I'd rather have the bulk. And the Adamant Nature, again, you're just hitting the second bump there. But with this special defense investment, at the very least, you can take a freeze drive from an Iron Bundle, not a Hydro Pump, and you're still able to take a couple of fairy moves from the fluttermane. All right, especially if it's Dazzling Gleam. So that's the idea here with these EV spreads. And again, if you want to know more about the Amoonguss, Roaring Moon, or Gholdengo, again, just check out what we said with the other 2 teams. But yeah, I'm moving on to the next squad. All right, the next one is a Farigiraf Iron Hands core. So again, it's similar to the idea of an Iron Hands plus a Trick Room setter with the Fire, Water, Grass core, and then with another Paradox Pokemon slapped onto it. All right, this has been used before, and I built this team specifically also for someone during a coaching session, which they were doing relatively well when they went 5-0 in one of the big online tours, but then they had to go to work. All right, so they were on their way to top cutting, but unfortunately the circumstances just didn't pan out, and they had to leave the tournament early. But that's okay. We know the team works because they did go 5-0 at the time. So again, with Roaring Moon, you know, in Iron Bundle, you just have the fast mode on the team with Tailwind and Icy Wind support. Then you have the Arcanine Amoonguss defensive core. You know, you're just able to have redirection support to help set up your Trick Room. The Arcanine is able to come in, intimidate physical attackers, click Snarl on special attackers, burn other physical attackers with Will-O-Wisp, and then instead of Protect, which is always consistent, I went for Helping Hand just for a little bit more damage, and it's really nice, you know, paired with your Iron Hands, your Farigiraf, and even your Roaring Moon, which is a Jolly, not an Adamant Roaring Moon. And Helping Hand is actually really, really clutch in certain situations, so definitely, you know, try and use it as much as you can. I know when I was using it, I was having a lot of fun, you know, just getting a little bit more damage for my +1 Hyper Voices from my Farigiraf, right? And the idea here with the Trick Room and Imprison and Hyper Voice is if you're going against Sylveon, you click Imprison, they can't click Hyper Voice anymore, and you have 2 Pokemon that's weak to it. You have a Roaring Moon and an Iron Hands that's weak to a Sylveon Hyper Voice. So if you're able to imprison that, that's actually really beneficial to the team. All right, and again, with the Trick Room support, you have the Amoonguss and Iron Hands to completely take advantage of it. This is our Terra Ground Iron Hands once again. So you know, just having options against the Mirror and as well as the Garganical that are still running around. Okay, but that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the EV spreads. All right, and again, so with this Roaring Moon, you're just having as much attack as possible. So this way you don't surpass the speed threshold. So you know you're still getting a speed boost with your energy booster. The Iron Hands, again, same spread as all the other Iron Hands that we've had on the team. So just make sure you remember what they do. The Amoonguss, same idea, same spread. With the Farigiraf, with this defense investment along with this optimized 207 HP number, you're able to take a Kowtow Cleave from an Adamant 252 King Gambit. From there, you know, you just hit the second bump in the 156 Modest Nature, and then the rest just went into special defense. It was just leftovers. Again, the Iron Bundle is just a 252 straight Sash. The Arcanine, I opted for Careful Nature on this one, just for having the much favorable roll, much favorable. I can English. All right, the very favorable roll to survive the Hydro Pump from an Iron Bundle, and then from there, you know, I just went into defense, you know, which is able to survive the Great Tusk Headlong Rush at -1, and then the rest just went into speed and a little bit of attack. So not an Adamant Arcanine, but you know, just meant to be a bulky supportive Arcanine in general, which is always good. All right, and that's pretty much the team. So let's go on to team number 5. All right, so this team I gave to one of my viewers to help me, relieve a slot. So shout outs to Joe, Juxtaplicity, another streamer. So thank you for making the team for me. So this way I can keep a slot open. But again, this is with Sylveon. So instead of something like a Grimmsnarl or a fluttermane, I opted for Sylveon. Terra Ground Sylveon, which was really good at the time, for testing and still is. Just having something against like an Arcanine, the steel types in general, and also, for the Garganical matchup, I think it was really, really cool to have a Terra Ground Sylveon with Terra Blast. And it's a special attacker, right? And a lot of those Pokemon, even like the Iron Hands, they don't have great special defense. So to be able to take advantage and just go for hard-hitting Terra Blast is actually really beneficial. Then from there, I went with a Volcarona set this time around instead of another fire option like a Talonflame or an Arcanine. But I went more offensive here with the Terra Grass Quiver Dance set with Giga Drain. So after one Giga Drain, the Volcarona can just pretty much sweep almost. And if you get 2 Quiver Dances, oh man, you're in trouble. So with Terra Grass, you're able to put a little bit of pressure on the Iron Bundle. So this way you can outspeed it and then just Giga Drain it. And then just pretty much remove it from the field. Even if they're sash, that's okay. You just remove it next turn. Again, you know what the Amoonguss does, but as well as the Iron Hands. But with this Roaring Moon set along with Tailwind, you're just able to help the rest of your team outspeed threats, help the Sylveon, help the Volcarona, help the Iron Bundle, just play in the fast mode. This is our Jolly Roaring Moon set, I believe, with Breaking Swipe, right? So that's the idea there. And then with Iron Hands, we went for a Terra Steel option just for that Dragon Fairy Steel core that I wanted. And you can see the other core of Fire, Water, Grass. But, just for other fairies, like a Fluttermane, like a Sylveon, I wanted the steel coverage here on the Iron Hand, so I got it here with Heavy Slam. All right, so that's pretty much this team. So let's take a look at the spreads and see what we're going for. All right, so with this Roaring Moon, Breaking Swipe is actually a really, really good coverage move here. Again, we've had it on the other Adamant sets, but again, just to neuter other physical attackers like an opposing Roaring Moon or an opposing Iron Hands is actually really nice. The Volcarona, if I look at the speed stat of a second, the Volcarona is just meant to outspeed Gholdengo speed creepers. You just need about 148 or 140-ish, right? Just to hit that 137 mark, but I went a little bit more to 140 just to outspeed those speed creepers. Then you hit the first bump in the Modest Nature. I had it at 116 originally, but I dropped it down a little bit just for a little bit more bulk on the defensive end. And then the Life Orb optimization, with 228 HP investment. Iron Hands, same spread. Amoonguss, same spread as always. Iron Bundle, same spread as always. All right, the Sylveon just to have a little bit more speed, just to outspeed other potential Sylveons that are running around. And then I just went with a second bump in the Modest Nature along with 191 HP, just to optimize against, sand chip damage or weather damage in general. And then the rest is literally went into special defense just to be able to take those Gholdengo and make it range just a little bit better. I thought that was important, right? So that's pretty much it for this team. Now let's go into one more team, a 6th rental. And this is why I wanted my viewer to help me with the slot here. So thank you very much. But let's take a look at our last rental. All right, folks, this is it. This is the 6th rental for the video, and this is as Cloverbell's of a team as you'll ever see. You got Grimmsnarl, you got a lot of bulk on this team, and that's pretty much how I love to play. You guys know that. So with Roaring Moon and Grimmsnarl, yes, you're weak to fairies, but again, with screens, not really, right? And then you always have the steel option from the Corviknight, and then you have the resistant, typing with the Volcarona and even the Amoonguss, right? So it's not a huge deal, but again, the whole idea with just pretty much every other team that I like to play with Grimmsnarl, just hide behind your screens, rely on your bulk, and then just deal big damage right back. You have the setup potential with the Corviknight and the Volcarona for endgame stuff, with either bulk up or quiver dance. You're just able to set up behind those screens, take those hits, and then just deal super effective damage right back, or win potential endgames. Just to like, click quiver dance, or click Giga Drain over time, get recovery, or click bulk up, click roost every other turn, and then eventually just hit him hard with the Iron Head, right? The Roaring Moon, you're able to once again go for breaking swipes, and you don't have Intimidate here, right? But you do have Reflect, which is basically like an Intimidate, and you do have Breaking Swipe, again, an active form of Intimidate. So it's not a huge deal, and you even have Flame Body from Volcarona, right? So they have to take the risk and attack you if they want to, try and win the game. But ideally here, you're just able to set up screens with Grimmsnarl. Your Corviknight does really well behind him, as does your Roaring Moon in the back. And then your Iron Bundle, again, with speed control with Icy Wind, just able to support your Roaring Moon and Volcarona in general. And then Volcarona, you know, after a Quiver Dance, you get a nice speed boost. You're just able to sweep behind those screens, and there's not many things that the opponent can do. And then, of course, Amoonguss is just Amoonguss, something to play in Trick Room. Just able to help redirect and help your Volcarona set up those Quiver Dances, help your Corviknight set up the Tailwind, or even help your Roaring Moon set up. Not help set up, but you know, just redirect attacks that want to touch the Roaring Moon, but you know, you're able to deter them. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the Pokepaste for this last squad. All right, and here it is. So with this Roaring Moon, again, it's the same one as our other Adamant Roaring Moon sets, just able to take an Adamant 156, Drain Punch from a Iron Hands, and then you're just able to outspeed Timid Gholdengo, so that's always nice. The Corviknight here, I just wanted to survive, you know, the Arcanine stuff, you know, 252 Flare Blitz Arcanine. I felt like that was important. And then even the Iron Hands Wild Charge a little bit, right? So that was the benefit there. The Volcarona, again, with that speed investment, you're just able to outspeed other modest Gholdengos. You have a little bit more special attack now than the other Volcarona, just because I felt like with the screens, I can compensate. So I went for a little bit more damage investment in the Volcarona. Amoonguss is the same, Ironbundle is the same. Terra Dragon Corviknight, by the way, is actually really nice just because you're able to, you know, take resisted hits from a super effective fire move or a super effective electric move, right? So, you know, I really like that Corviknight set. Normally, I would put like 180 investment, you know, which is the next bump in it, but I felt like 100 attack with, you know, the screens and then, you know, just able to set up the bulk up, I should say, it was a little bit more beneficial. So that's what I wanted. And with 172 speed investment under Tailwind, you outspeed everything. The Grimmsnarl investment, just a little bit of speed to outspeed other Grimmsnarls that don't put any speed. But I just hit the bump in the Careful Nature and then just max HP, and the rest just went into defense. Nothing too special about that Grimmsnarl set there. But if you look, we do have Misty Terrain. So with Misty Terrain, you know, you can't put my Roaring Moon to sleep and you can't burn my Roaring Moon, which was beneficial. Yes, I understand. I have reduced Breaking Swipe damage, but that's okay because I have Acrobatics and Throat Chop anyway. And it's more beneficial to have the Misty Terrain setup anyway. Just because for the reasons I just said, and also other Roaring Moons that want to go for Dragon Claw on my Roaring Moon, that's also really good, just to have reduced damage there. And against another Roaring Moon, you know, make them have reduced damage for against anything else that I have on this team. All right, so that's pretty much it for our Roaring Moon balance, as I like to title it. So if you want to give it a go, definitely give it a go. This is the one that really epitomizes me and how I like to play. You know, just play bulky behind screens with Grimmsnarl and just sweep with your sweepers like a Corviknight, Roaring Moon, or a Volcarona. All right, so that's pretty much it for our rental videos, rental teams, I should say. And again, if you want to build a Series 2 team of your own, check out coaching on the channel. Video description, comment section has a link to it. Every video has a join button. Tier 3 sub, you're able to book a session with me, one-on-one Discord call. We build the team from scratch. We show you how to do EV spreads like this. Slowly, piece by piece, we explain certain matchups once the team is built, and then from there, you know, you just go ahead and play your team. All right, if you have a team yourself that you just want me to fix up and look at a little bit, that's a tier 2 sub to the channel. And again, same idea in the video description. Click the join button on the channel, or if you just want to show your support just in general for the channel, just do a tier 1, or you know, you can always donate to my PayPal. All right, I accept all donations, although not mandatory, of course. You know, again, also in the video description. But that's gonna be it for now. So hopefully you guys enjoy Orlando. It's a big regional. It's gonna change the meta a little bit depending on who wins and, you know, what things top cut. So we'll be on the lookout for there. But at least use these teams for a good general start. They're very solid. They're very consistent. They do well in tournaments. They've all been tested heavily by certain players and some of my viewers as well. So you know, I take good pride in team building. All right, and some of you know that already. But we'll be back in the next one, guys. Peace out and have a good one.